Welcome back to my Commonplace Book. Today I am doing an entry on cochineal red, which is a specific type of red dye, and I will explain what that is in this video. And technically this entry is from back in January, so I am going through video footage that I already have of these Commonplace Book entries being made and turning them into YouTube videos, so it just requires me to do a longer voiceover, which I'm slowly working through, but I'll be getting more entry videos out. And as usual, I set up my page like I do on all of my entries. I do that left margin there. And this is the sticker that I made. I collaged this together with different images, and all of them are related to what I'm talking about in this spread. And this topic I found accidentally. So, whenever I'm making these Commonplace Book entries, they're not always intentional where I'm looking for a specific subject, although that is the case sometimes. But other times, I just accidentally find these topics when I'm looking for other things, when I'm researching something else, and this comes up as a related topic, and I'm basically going through a million different rabbit holes when I'm researching. So, this is one of those topics that came to me accidentally while I was looking for something else. And this one specifically I found while I was browsing academic journals. And so the quotes in this entry are from an article from an academic journal, and the article is titled Cochineal Red: The Art History of a Color, and it's by Elena Phipps. Okay, going back to talking about the entry, you'll see me pull this sticker backing off completely, and I do not recommend this method whatsoever. I don't know why I did it here. I wasn't thinking probably, but I recommend peeling off a little bit at a time and pushing down the sticker with your other hand. So you're placing and peeling at the same time. It's like a nice smooth swipe that you're doing. This way is a great way to get wrinkles, so I do not recommend doing it this way. Luckily, I didn't have any wrinkles or any air bubbles, but this is not the way to do it. And I'm speaking from personal experience because I've messed up plenty of stickers doing it exactly the way that I just showed you. Okay, let me tell you about the pen I'm using here. So this is the Platinum 3776 Century in the color Bourgogne, and I have an ultra extra fine nib on it. This is the probably finest nib that I have, period. I also have a Pilot posting nib, which is very close to this, but I still feel like the ultra extra fine nib is finer. And the other pen I'm using right here is the Pilot Custom 823 in the color Amber, and it has a fine nib. So this fine nib is thicker than the Platinum 3776 Ultra Extra Fine. Both are Japanese pen brands, so their fines are much finer than Western fine nibs. And I specifically use Japanese pen brands because I love to write tiny. And I do write very tiny. If you were to see these in person, you would probably think, how do you read this? This is very tiny. Since I'm writing in an A5 journal, it might seem like it's bigger on video, but the writing that I'm doing here is really, really tiny. Oh, and also on this entry, I decide to mix things up. So usually I do my quotes in print and then I do my thoughts in cursive. But I wanted to do some cut lines in this spread, and cut lines are just another name for photo captions. So I wanted to do little captions next to the sticker explaining what that specific piece was. So I did my cut lines in print and I did my quote in cursive, but very fine, small cursive, and then I did my thoughts in the slightly thicker fine with cursive writing as well. So usually I do print here, but trying something different for this entry. I think this is the only entry in my entire book where I do it this way, so this isn't my standard practice. And another thing I wanted to do for this entry is I wanted this to feel more like a magazine. And so in magazines, it's common to have multiple columns of text, and then the text flows from column to column. And instead of doing it all in one chunk, like how on the left page it's all one long paragraph, I wanted to flow my handwriting over multiple columns. That way it would give that more magazine feel to it. With the combination of the large sticker and the multiple columns, I do feel like I achieved that magazine effect for this entry. If you want to achieve this same effect, the biggest tip that I would give you is to respect your margins. So make sure your handwriting isn't going past a specific line that you mark for yourself for that column. Even if you think you can squeeze another letter or two to finish the word on that line, just wrap it around to the next line, use a hyphen. So if you're wanting to do multiple columns, respect your margins. And since I wanted to do multiple columns, I wanted to make them even. And so here I'm counting the amount of boxes I have and I'm splitting it into thirds. They end up not being perfectly even, but this gives me a good idea of how wide I should be making each column. And I have to recount it over and over to remind myself because I keep losing track of that number. Okay, that's enough yapping about the actual journal making itself. Now let me tell you about what the entry is even about. So let me read you the quote from this Commonplace Book entry. From antiquity to the present day, color has been embedded with cultural meaning. Its perception and use have been influenced by many factors, including the actual material source of the colorant itself. Red, associated with blood, fire, fertility, and life force in many cultures throughout the world, has always been one of the most highly prized colors, in part because it is among the most difficult to achieve. The first colorants from nature to be exploited for artistic, ritual, and magical use were ochres and other mineral pigments, or red earth. Neolithic cave painters, like those who covered the walls in southern France with animal populated landscapes, used orange red ochre to highlight the scenes they drew with black charcoal, adding drama and power to the images. In the second millennium BC, Egyptians saturated special linen burial cloths with deep orange red hematite, iron oxide, or red ochre mineral earths. Okay, that was the first quote from this article, and in my sticker I have that jade mask there, and that mask is made out of jadeite and hematite, and so the little orange specks you see in the mask, that's hematite. So that specific part of the collage of the sticker is referencing this section of the quote. And I do have two other quotes from this article, so I'll read those now. Although many plants, particularly those with red berries, produce red juices, most of them are not used for dyeing, as at best they make only a temporary stain. The most brilliant crimson red dye, however, was obtained from a group of scale insects of the superfamily Coccinea. The group includes several genera of dye-producing insects called kermes, lac, and cochineal that have been used since antiquity. So yes, you heard that right. The most brilliant red came from bugs. It's made from the dried bodies of the cochineal insects, which are ground down into a fine powder, and then that powder is mixed with water and then it's heated up. These insects are native to the Americas, both South America and even parts of the US and the Southwest. It's a practice that's still around today, too. When I found this article, or when I first read it, it surprised me that the brightest red came from bugs. I don't know, I just wasn't expecting bugs. Maybe like earths and clays and berries, but not bugs. So when I stumbled across this, I knew I had to add it to my Commonplace book. And to go back to the sticker, my hand is slightly covering it right now, but you can see those little square swatches of color. And all of those shades, all of those hues are from the cochineal bug. So that's the range that you can get with a cochineal red. And that tattered fabric in the background is also using cochineal red. I do also have a picture of an actual cochineal bug underneath my hand, so when I move it, you'll see that little bug is what they look like. And it's not to scale, they're actually much smaller than that, they're almost microscopic. Okay, and now I have all of my quote written down. You can see I had that sticker printed. I thought maybe I was going to use that pretty red flower bouquet, but I put it right there in that spot and saw, okay, that's definitely not going to fit and it won't look good there. So I took it off. And also I'm testing some washi tapes. I want to put some washi tapes, but I'm not sure where I want to put them yet. So instead, I browsed this sticker book here. This is the Museum Treasure sticker book. I'm not sure what I'm looking for. I know I want something red. I want to fill in this space a bit more because I know I don't need all of that bottom space for my personal thoughts. My thoughts are going to be much shorter. So I'm looking for something that I can fill the space with. And I do find something here that I peel off, but I realize I don't like it immediately. So I place the sticker back into its spot. And here I also spot another one that could work, so I peel it and I place it almost on the page, although I don't commit to it. I decide that it doesn't work in this spot either. You can see me almost place it down there, but then I change my mind at the last second. So I put it back and keep my search going. So after browsing, I did find one that I like here, and I do almost place it, but then once I put it next to the other pictures, it looks more orange than red, and I want it to look bright red, so I realize that's not going to work. And at this point, I just give up on finding any stickers I want to add. Nothing in there is calling me for this entry. So I go back to writing, and here I'm writing another cut line. I'm describing the color swatches that are right next to it. And the cut line just explains that these are cochineal red dyes on silk cloth. And now I'm switching back my pen, so I'm going back to the Pilot Custom Made 2-3 with a fine nib. And here I'm writing my personal thoughts on the entry. So I like to write my personal thoughts because it gives me an idea of where my head was at when I decided to do an entry on it. So I know Commonplace Books, they don't typically have a spot for you to personally reflect on the entry, but I like to do it because sure, I can have a collection of things that I like, but it doesn't really give me context to what I was thinking or why I really liked that specific commonplace topic. So this personal reflection section kind of gives me, a future me anyway, some context of what I was thinking, where I was at in my head, why I picked this topic even. I kind of think of this bit like a conversation with my future self. So the Commonplace Book entry as a whole is going to help me remember the topic and the information that I learned, and this section is to have a conversation with myself in the future. And then here I'm adding my last cut line, and I believe this one is about the cochineal bug right there. And since I didn't find any stickers, I'm returning with this washi tape. And this washi tape is from MT Tape. And I like this one for this entry because one, the red is perfect, and also the little white dots kind of remind me of little bugs. And it could very well be the case that every white dot is actually the size of a real cochineal bug. They are very tiny. And so I'm filling the empty spaces with little strips of washi here. And sure, I don't need to fill in the space. Actually, it might have looked better without the washi tape and with more space to breathe. But with this entry, I was feeling more filled in, more chaos, more busyness. Sometimes I do like minimalism, but other times I just want to fill in every single blank space on the page. And then, as usual, I finish off my entry with my date stamp. I am using the Versa Magic Dewdrop ink pad and then a date stamp that I got on Amazon. And this is the final entry. Thank you so much for watching. And if you made it all the way to the end, I appreciate you so much.